the people that are going to ride on this trend early is going to game that. What's AI good at now? It's read large amount of data to give you insight. Each company should have their own version of a second brain where all data goes in and anybody can query this second brain. What does this second brain include? Your customers' conversations, supplier records, your sales, everything. The way that we think about hiring should be different. When you want to hire somebody, the first thing you should think about is workflow. What are the 5 to 6 workflows that they must do? What can AI do? If you are able to get AI to do it, then you have what we call your AI-first type of company.
That's so cool.
If you are able to generate 3,000 pages based on search volume of things that people typically don't even build on, now you have 30,000 web traffic. You are hacking the whole SEO thing at scale.
Hello everyone and welcome to our very first episode of SleekTalks, where the conversation flow by SleekFlow. My name is Asnawi and I'm your host for today. Today we have a very big honor of having the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Joshua Chan. He is the co-founder of Ergotune and Everdesk, two of Southeast Asia's most recognized ergonomic furniture brand. He built them from scratch, bootstrap with two of his co-founders. No funding, no industry experience, and the first warehouse in someone else's house. Very interesting. 4 years later, you guys built it to a 13 million revenue business, acquired by Una Brands for a very big ticket, 8-figure value. Most people tell about the win, but today I really want to focus about what's in between. I think that helps a lot of founders and builders today. So Joshua, welcome to SleekTalks.
Thank you. Wow, what a legend intro.
Thank you for being our very first guest.
Nobody has ever introduced me like this before.
Alright, so before we start, with every episode, we wanted to have 3 raw truths from you that the viewers can actually listen to. 3 raw truths about building. Things people don't learn the hard way. People learn the hard way, not the polished ones, right? People that can actually learn and grow from it. Something that people wish they could hear about this from someone who has done it before. What will your 3 be? First one.
Okay. So the first one is hard work is overrated. Choosing the right project to work on is significantly more important.
All right. Second one.
Hiring is like one of the greatest arbitrage in life. So if you get a good hire, the difference in the cost could be 20 to 30%, but the output is like 10 to 100x.
I love that one, man. That's really good. And I want to dive deeper on that later. What's number 3?
In every business, at every single point in time, there is one number that matters the most. Everything else is a distraction.
All right. That's super cool, man. Those are 3 really good points.
Yeah. And I do have a number 4, which I think most of the first-time founders, they look at what successful entrepreneurs have. And I think they think that we got it figured out from the start. But most of the time, we don't. We are just figuring things out along the way. And I think that's important for people to realize.
Super good, man. All right, let's peel the onion across this. I asked for 3, but he gave me 4. So let's do all 4. Let's go with the first one. Hard work is overrated. You mentioned choosing what to work on for is the most important thing. Could you share a bit more about what's your perspective on this?
Yeah. So think about the current day and age, right? You can choose to sell Tupperware. Versus you choose to build something in AI. Which one do you think it gives you a better chance of like having financial success?
Both, I think, have good chances, but AI, I think, right now, because I'm in the AI field,
right,
definitely is my core competency at the moment. Yeah.
Right. Because and the reason it's AI, it's not just because like it's the in thing. It's because it's a trend. Mm-hmm. Right? You want to choose on something that has a bigger TAM, right? You want to choose on something that has the pulling force where the market demand is always growing, rather than fighting something that the market demand is kind of capped. It's like what you learned in school about sunset versus sunrise industry, right? You wanna choose industries where being the 6th strongest company is still like a few $100 million versus companies where like you are in an industry where even if you are the top, right, you're struggling to even make ends meet. So I think just by identifying what the right projects to work on is a lot more important than just like grinding hard work.
I mean, I wanted to pick on that point, right? You mentioned TAM, Total Addressable Market, and I guess in various industry, various products, various services, the TAM differs. Some is bigger than others. In a market like Singapore, compared to the US, for example, the US market, maybe for AI, is much larger within its own country compared to Singapore with a smaller base. And for a lot of people trying to figure out the right product or the right service to start, as you mentioned, it's not so simple for them because there's just so many things that you can do. You can do AI and really do well, like you mentioned, a small segment of a big TAM, or you can focus on a smaller TAM, but be number one at it, be best in class for that product or for that service, right? What would you say to founders who are trying to navigate this situation or this dilemma between bigger TAM, smaller TAM, what product or what service to actually focus on?
Right. To me, I think TAM is one of the most important first decision to make whenever you want to enter a particular business, right? If there is not enough transactions that are happening in that industry that you are choosing, it's just very hard. You only have that few customers. You can say that, oh, I can make a lot of money from like a single customer and develop best in class. But developing best in class is not an overnight thing, right? You kind of need industry expertise. You need a lot of time and effort knowing who your actual customers are. But if you work on a TAM that is already big, that is already growing, people are still unaware of who the market leader is going to be.
Okay.
And I think that is the opportunity right now.
So in your perspective, basically, the bigger the TAM, not saying that it's going to be successful, but there should be a higher chance for you to be successful.
1000%.
I understand. All right. Love that, man. All right, let's move on to the second one, right? You mentioned hiring is the greatest arbitrage in a business and everyone priced it wrongly.
Yeah.
I think there was a article or a sharing that you had where you said the early people who believe in what you call the three IDIOTS, right? You don't know what they were thinking, but they did, and it kind of transformed their business. Could you share a bit more about that one, especially maybe the first few people that first believed in the three of you, right? What that meant to you guys and how that played a transformation role in growing Ergotune in those early days.
Right. I think if you are building a startup or if it's your first time hiring people, you'll realize that your first few members are more family, are more close connections than what you see in shows, right? In shows, your office is always like hierarchical, right? I'm the boss. I have a glass room. You want to come in, you knock the door, there's a certain gap. But I think when it's smaller, you kind of know everybody, what they do and their family and what they are actually good at. So I think at the start, we were looking for people because we knew that we needed the right effort to compound.
Okay.
And finding people who are willing to take on a smaller salary because you don't have funding, you are purely bootstrap, and believing in that we will be able to bring you to the next level. It's one of the mysteries that we have not figured out. Like we just went there and we like, okay, I think this person he has a good fit, right?
But how do you do that in the first place? Like you ran an ad, you put it on LinkedIn?
No, connections. So friends of friends.
Friends of friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the first hire hired the third hire.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so similar to how we built SleekFlow also in the early days.
Right.
Many of the early joiners were really, like you mentioned, friends of friends of friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think
so it was not a formal process. You kind of like
No.
had a good chat. You think this guy or this girl is good.
Yeah.
Ask, hey, would you want to help me build this thing that I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be great because we're going to be doing great things together.
Yeah. So I think at the start, one of the things was like work ethics, which is a bit vague, but we were doing an overnight shoot. And I learned that there was this role called staging director or something like that.
Okay.
So what they do is they make the scene look nice. And when I saw that guy and him like caring a lot about the small things, which I don't even care, and I'm paying money to do that shoot, right? That told me something about like this guy. So I went over and just like have a conversation. I realized he's an architect, and so I was like, hey, would you like how attached are you to this architect thing? Like,
Right.
like what?
So you approach someone.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like I asked like, is this something that you ever consider? Then surprisingly, he was like, yeah, like actually all the big chair brands, the founding members are actually architects. Yeah, so he said it's one of his dreams to have one chair that is designed from head to toe that is like entirely by him. And I was like, oh, never ask, never know, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, so you try, and then like that was one of our first few hires.
That's so cool. And I think what you shared was very, very insightful. You mentioned you saw something in him that you lacked, which is he cares about the small things. You care about maybe the bigger things, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, in the early days, when people are hired, would you say that really you should be hiring for what you don't have? Or should you be hiring for people that, you know, might... Because there's two sets of people, right? One that has what you don't have, but one that really wants a shot in proving something, in building something, especially people who have no experience or wanting to jump. How do you make that kind of decisions where you had a good chat with somebody who have no experience? You don't see him caring about the small things. You just have chats with him about other things. But how would you make a decision criteria in terms of hiring someone that has a more skill based talent that can be transferable, like architect is more transferable, versus someone that might not have the skill base but very, very eager to prove something and to build and just to work, even if it's for free, for example. What is your take on this dilemma? Because I think a lot of times early founders, these are the people that they will really have conversations with. People that has the skill that they feel can transfer, but also people that are willing to join a startup with nothing, but they have no skill. How do you make these kind of decisions?
I think at the start, generalists are more important than specialists.
Generalists are more important, okay?
Yeah. When you're building a startup, like your first few employee of SleekFlow, right?
Yep.
What were you hired for?
To lead the market.
Did you only lead the market?
I did everything, man.
You did everything, right?
I did
It's like
customer
that.
support, operations.
Yeah, if my first employee comes in and tells me that, hey, you hire me to draw blueprints, no, like sales is not me. Wait, they won't belong there. They are not the right stage, the right employee for the right stage, right?
Okay.
When you hit a certain skill, yes, you need some level of specialty. You need accountability because you have enough traffic for each function to matter. But at the start, like when the doorbell rings, ding dong, who goes down? Whoever is free at that point in time, you know? Who is gonna serve the customer? It's gonna be whoever that is free. So I think at the start, a lot of the attitude of the person.
Attitude most important.
It's a lot more important. I think a lot of the skills are learnable. Like if you say that then an architect has great skills, yes. Is it transferable to designing a chair? No. Like maybe not 100%.
I can see how it's
right?
transferable.
Like maybe 20-30% is transferable, right? You understand a certain software, you understand like the intricacies, but a lot of the engineering materials, everything is not related to what they have done. Right? But the softer skills and like attention to detail, it's very difficult to find and to pull out these things. Yeah.
Perfect, man. All right, and the third one was about, in every business, one number matters most in that quarter. Focusing on one. Everything else is just distraction. I love that. I really love that because, running a startup or building a business, there's so many things that's always pulling your hairs everywhere, right?
Yes.
I can't imagine how it is for a DTC, especially during that era, building with a lot of home and living brands start standing up or like building up at that point of time. Could you divulge a bit more about what you mean by one number matters most? And what is that number?
Right. It changes depending on what stage the company is at. But think about your dragon boat. Okay. If you get everybody rowing in the same direction, you go very fast. Right? But if like one person wants to go left, one person wants to go right, your boat is never gonna move. I think that's the idea behind a startup. You don't actually know whether you are going in the right direction, but if you decide that this is the direction you want to go to, you want the whole company to be rowing behind that to fully prove that this is success or failure. Right. And that will give you the higher chance of success. And I think as a founder, the 18 hours that you are awake thinking about your business is very important on what you are spending your headspace on. right? It's the very typical on your way to here, how many red cars do you see, right? Like it's the type of attention that you put to.
Right.
If let's say now I say that, hey, your job is MRR for SleekFlow, right? When you look around, when you subscribe to softwares, when you look at emails, when you look at what people send, you start to, oh, can I use this to improve my MRR? Can I use that? Oh, this company use this tactic. Oh, AI is good, but how do I use that to increase MRR? Versus, this hour I'm MRR. Tomorrow I'm thinking about, oh, how do I automate my workflows? The next day I'm thinking about, oh, maybe I should enter a new market.
Right.
But you're not gonna get anywhere.
Exactly.
Right? You don't have enough time to let the ideas brew, to feed into the subconscious mind, to pull out ideas that you need to use right now. And that focus is like important. So for a startup, and I met a lot of people that probably doing 0 to 1M, right? We focus on the fancy things that we can visually see.
Okay.
Logo, website, suppliers, because we have control. What do you not have control over? Sales. It's uncomfortable for a lot of people to be doing sales, right? To be going and say that I need to run ads, ask people to do creatives. Well, I don't know how to do. Pay a creative agency, pay a marketing agency, right? Then who is in control? Them. You think they care about your business as much as you? No. But why you don't go and spend the effort to learn? Uncomfortable. But at that point in time, what's the most important? For you to figure out how do you acquire customers.
I love that, man.
Right?
That's really cool.
Yeah. Because once you figure that out, sales and ops is like this, right? When your ops is like, and then your sales goes up. And at some point, your ops say like, brother, I cannot catch up already.
But, on that point, it's interesting, right? You mentioned, okay, focus on one thing. I love it, and I do the same thing as well. But I'm sure you would have faced a situation where you question yourself, like, is that one focus that I'm telling the company to move towards to, is it the right focus? Or is not the right focus? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And sometimes as a founder, because we are more aggressive in our vision, for example, of what we're trying to go for. Sometimes it fails. Sometimes it's not the correct number. When can you actually decide that, hey, maybe we should go stun, or a number instead?
So the number is more North Star, like applicable throughout. So for Ergotune, it's maybe EBITDA, right? So if you look at EBITDA, current EBITDA, let's say 1M. Right? You say that, okay, this year we aim for 2M. You have maybe 20 project ideas that you can think of, right? Then you need to decide which are the 20 that you want to commit your time behind to test, whether it can bring you there, right? Is it going to be launching a new product, entering a TikTok new channel, entering geographical expansion? Like, you need to decide which one you want to do, and then you commit to it, right? And for e-com, it's harder because to enter a physical product, it just takes longer. To make changes in your product, it just takes longer, right? For a tech product, it's faster, right? You want to change your codes, you really force your developer to change it tonight, like by hook or by crook, you might be able to get it done. But certain product things, it just takes time. So the reality is, you need time to test, and sometimes you fail, and it's okay, right? Like we failed our interesting thing. Have you heard of Ergo Bloom?
No.
Right? Ergotune is one of the products that we launched.
Is it something about flowers, like bloom?
No, it's kids' furniture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, died. Never see the light of day. So
that was one of the numbers you were aiming for, Ergo Bloom?
No, we wanted to increase our EBITDA. One of it was, let's do category expansion.
I see.
Right? It was a test, ma.
Right.
We launched, everybody say, sure, fail. We like, oh, no, but founder say, must test. Right? So we test. And then, did it fail? Yes. Did my employee say, I told you so? Yes. But out of 10, I told you so, one of it, I 10x the company, right? So like, you as a founder, you need to be pushing all these things, right? And as an employee, they will be comfortable.
They will question,
right? They will be comfortable, they will question, and it is what it is. Your job is to make the uncomfortable decision to test on new things lah. But all the projects that you test is to try to push out a particular North Star.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that segues very, very nicely to your last point you mentioned, which is that people always think that founders or people should have everything figured out in day one, right? But you don't have to. And I think that's exactly encapsulates what you talk about, right?
Exactly.
You don't have to figure out everything. And I think, I have more questions for you later on, which you can share more about point number 4. But what you shared about Ergo Bloom and experience, I think really, really is what makes you unique, man.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
All good.
All right. So before Ergotune, you ran two startups, I believe. One is a skill training based company, and another is a travel startup. Got acquired, right? I think most people after two enough lah. Try something else. Maybe just find a job like a normal person, right? But you decide to go again. Why?
A normal person wouldn't have started too. So
That's why you're different, man. Okay.
yeah, but okay, I think the non-LinkedIn answer is the acquisition was not big enough, right?
But why? I mean, acquisition not enough, but like, I'm sure. I mean, doing one now already is like, wow, it takes a lot on me, right? Doing two, yes, probably you feel quite tired already. Why don't just find a job? You know, like normal.
I think back then there's some level of stupidity and naivety.
Okay.
But also I think I enjoy the fun part about entrepreneurship. So I remember back then I speak to a lot of my friends who are working a 9 to 5, and I'll be like, hey, like what went on in your office? And I hear the problems that they face. I'm like, wow, lame.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So then, but when I look at the problems that I face, it's like every day is something new, every day is something exciting. There are those few moments where you feel like whatever you're doing is worth it.
Yeah.
So one of it was like when I was running Ergotune, some customer randomly emailed in to just say that I just want to let you know that I chose you because your website looks nicer than your competitor.
Really?
Then I'm like, wow, shook. Because I did the website, bro. I got no UI, UX background, bro. I chose the colors. I chose the fonts. Like, I won.
And then
purely
back then
from
no
a website.
AI yet.
No AI. Yeah. So like, the small little things just makes you feel like, hey, somebody appreciates what we do. And you want to find that dopamine hit, right? And I'm not sure I can get that dopamine hit from corporate as much.
So you kind of like being,
I like the drug, bro.
I like being right in the sense of your own judgment and take on things.
Yes.
Right. Just like how ask for 3 questions, you give me 4 points, right? Okay, understand.
And I like it when you take asymmetric risk.
Okay.
Right. So if you think about if let's say I sink 10K to start a business, if I fail, 10K is gone. Right, but if I win, it could be a few hundred million. So it's the upside is asymmetric to the risk, right? A lot of times when you think about working a 9 to 5, what's your risk? Your risk is your opportunity cost if maybe you don't take your salary for like 3 to 6 months, right? That's what 60, 70K.
Yeah.
If you lose that, but you fight for a chance to potentially be in a few hundred million, like, is it worth the fight? Will most people take it? I don't know. But the way that I see it is I like to take more asymmetric bets.
Would you say it was a lot easier for you as well because you did it earlier on?
1000%, bro. 1000%. Without debts, without
kids,
liabilities, without kids, it's 1000% easier. And I saw that when I was younger already. I saw that if I have a comfortable life, it will be very hard for me to quit. And I saw that from my internship. So I think a good way to know whether you want to stay in a company is you look at your boss.
Okay.
Your boss is probably there 5-10 years ahead of you, right? Look at their life and do you want that? Not just the money. Do you want that life? Do you feel excited? And I looked and I was like, it sucks, man. Like, I don't want to be there. He was still editing SQL. Like, he was still answering stupid questions from like people. And I just thought like, I don't want that life. So if I don't want that life, then like what's the alternative lah? Yeah.
Okay, so let's now forward to when the venture actually started, and it all happened because I think Damon wanted to buy a standing desk. I believe. Couldn't buy it.
Yeah.
So the founder in you was saying, okay, I cannot buy. I make myself.
Yeah. No, I cannot buy. I check the cost.
Yeah, I make myself, right?
Yeah.
You had zero inventory. I believe you borrow product images. You run some ads even though you had nothing.
Yeah.
Right. I believe 20 orders came in first week. 20 orders, right?
Yeah.
Walk me through that. Like 20 orders with no inventory. People already said they want to buy. Have they already paid actually?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe I want to ask, what went wrong?
During when?
During that period, I'm sure something broke, right? People ordered 20, you have nothing. I know the good story is obviously everything made up, but what went wrong in that situation, but you were able to carry yourself away from that? What almost broke?
Right. So I don't know. Sometimes when I tell this story, I feel like it's quite common sense. Like I think most people would do it, but
really. People will
but
maybe post it on Reddit, maybe put a forum asking, will you buy this? Not many, I think, will create a website, run an ad, and then make people pay for something that is not there yet.
Right. So we kind of knew the cost price, right? So when we built the site, we knew that okay, if this works out, it's a 70% margin business, right? And we didn't run social ads. We ran Google Click ads.
Right.
So it was very bottom of funnel, like buy standing desk in Singapore. Like the people that are searching for this, high chance like you will purchase it. And back then there wasn't other people that were doing it. But once we got enough orders, we felt like we are not cheating people because we called them and we gave them the option to refund.
Were they angry when you called them?
No, most of them were okay. Most of them were okay. Because how many times do you receive a call from a business like, hey, sorry, like just being nice and being human, right? Like it's not like.
And do you call them and say that, hey, I'm the founder, or is just I'm customer support?
No, bro, 1000%. I'm always customer support, bro.
Well, you're lucky that back then people answer. I think nowadays people don't answer already.
Oh, you WhatsApp lah. You
WhatsApp,
you try every way, or if not you email lah.
I see.
Yeah. But
and out of this 20, how many say never mind? I will wait.
Maybe around 15 said that they will wait, and we gave them like an additional $50 discount. Then the 5 we just refunded, but the ads kept running.
Okay.
So at some point when we gathered enough money for our initial MOQ, we brought it in. When we brought it in, a few problems. One, it came in a container.
Okay. Like the wooden crates, is it?
No, like the metal.
Wow. Like you didn't know that what happened. I didn't even know that happened.
And I need to there's a chain.
Okay.
I need to open the chain.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know how to open. Then after, so some guy helped me to open. I opened the chain already. Then I saw the pallets were stacked. Okay. I was like, how to bring down?
Okay.
I also don't know. Then so we had a lot of help here and there. We called people.
Yeah.
There were a lot more brute force ways, like just going up and just bringing the tables down. And we stored it at my house. We stored it at one of the rooms. And that was the first time I held an electric drill. Because I don't know how to install stuff, bro. I don't know how to drill hole in the wall. That was when I felt like
Singapore
a man.
Is like that.
Yeah. Now it's like, bro, comfortable, bro. Hold a drill. Yeah. So there were a lot of like small things that broke in between. I had to deliver the tables and chairs. I didn't know that when you do delivery, the first thing you should do is buy a trolley. I manhandled everything up.
You carried everything.
Tabletop, the frame, all the accessories I carried up individually. We not save money, so we drove a manual van, rented a manual van.
Right.
The van died multiple times because I forget how to do the manual clutch thing. Yeah. So a lot of things broke in between, but I think that was the most risk-free way of starting a business.
Yeah, and things breaking, learning all these lessons about how you're gonna receive the container, even things like you mentioned, like van. When the business is small, it doesn't really matter as much. But when it's scaled up, for example, let's say your van breaks down and there's so many more orders that it's not being fulfilled for that day, for example, there's money that you're leaving on the table, right? So yeah, I mean, I think lessons learned from what has been broken, I think is very important for builders, for founders.
Yeah. You just solve, it's like a game at a bigger stage, you just solve different type of problems, right? Like what you said, like van breakdown all the time, bro.
Yep.
At some point we are used to it. Like van breakdown, we got another van to come take over. Like we got the supply chain. Done.
So speaking of breaking, right? Early on when you wanted to scale Ergotune, you worked a lot more on channel partnerships. Okay, I think you work with chiropractors, IDs. Because people trust them, right? I want to improve my back. What's the best chair, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah.
It really makes sense. But there was no sales, I believe. So what was the moment? Because you mentioned focus on one number, one quarter, right? And there was a number, which is getting your channel sales structure out, your motion out. What was the moment that you finally admitted it's not working? And what do you do in terms of like getting the team together to say, hey, this is not the direction, let's go somewhere else, or let's do something else instead?
I think most people think that there's one fine day when you wake up and you suddenly realize that shit is breaking, but it didn't break, right?
Okay.
It's just there's just no sales, and just no sales for a very long time. That was when I learned.
How long? If you know what I'm asking.
2-3 months of like intense, like I think we have like 50-60 chiropractors partnerships, like IDs we have like 50
No
plus
sales
or
in
so.
Ergotune, or just no sales in this channel?
No sales from them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was pretty bad, right? And you actually put in the effort. Then that was when I realized, like, if I am them, why am I not selling? I'm like, makes sense. If I'm a chiropractor, I crack a bit, $100 for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Why do I need to put in so much effort to get $50 to sell a table, and I still need to explain what this table is? Right? The incentives are not aligned. I have better ways to spend my time.
Incentives not aligned. Right,
Yeah.
correct.
So, and let's say for ID, I go to a place, I sell everything from tiles to furniture to the lights, right? Like, in one shop, I get so much. Why would I bother bringing it down to your shop just to sell a $700 table? Like, what do you give me? There's nothing. It's nothing compared to me just finding the next customer, right? So incentives are not aligned. So that was when I learned that if you want to work with people, that you need to know how they think, their incentives, and how do you align to that. And unfortunately for us, that was just not the right channel. But the big learning was when our competitor launched. So we were very early into this standing desk game. Our competitor launched. In 3 months' time, their search volume was higher than us, and higher than the category.
Right.
And when you're higher than the category, you have won. Right. So we looked at them and we are like, they got no partnerships.
Right.
They got no collaborations.
Yeah.
They are good at running Facebook ads.
Okay.
And then that was when we learned, like, it's all about focus.
Right.
Especially for channel acquisition. Yeah, like people think like, you just run Facebook ads. No, bro, we were one of the best at running Facebook ads. Like 70% of our sales at a $20 million revenue company came from Facebook ads.
Wow.
You don't do that on, like, if you don't understand the economics. You don't do that if you don't understand how to run it like a machine. And when we saw our competitor, we knew that it was not because there isn't a market. Because at some point when you launch a business, you feel like no customers wants to buy. Nobody wants my product. But then you learn that, no, when it was straight in your face, right? You launch earlier, you feel that you have a better product, you feel that you have some traction, but they got so much bigger, way faster. You humble yourself and you learn that, I'm just bad. Like, I am lousy. And you just admit, and then you
really
work
focus on like understanding the economics, like you mentioned. I see. Okay, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it kind of took off. And I think also at the start, I believe every single customer you called, right? That is so interesting. Why do you want to call? I think I can guess the answer, but why do you choose to call? And what did you learn from these calls that helped you shape Ergotune to what it is today?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if you're a startup, sometimes you egoistic. You think that, if people buy, I don't want to talk to them. Later they find problems with my product, or later they want to refund. Right? Like, I just don't want to talk to them. But the reality is, your customer could have chosen anybody except you. Like, why did they choose you? Right? So that insight is more valuable than a single refund customer.
But what if you answer the phone, or they answer the phone and they're so unhappy and they start scolding you?
Good.
Oh, okay.
Good, because now you know what's wrong.
Right.
The worst part of a founder is you don't know what's wrong with your product.
Right.
If you don't know what people are complaining about SleekFlow, how are you ever going to build a better product? How are you ever going to build best in class? Best in class to who? To you or to the customers? You want to build best in class for your customers. But at the start, all your products is best in class to you, right? As the founder. Right? So you want to be able to speak to them, and you want to know what do they like and not like about a product. You want to know what got them here.
Right.
What are the words that stuck with them? Right? Was it a cooling chair? Was it mesh? Was it back pain? Like, what are the problems that they faced that they decided to shell out $600 to buy a chair? It's not a small sum of money. You want to figure out why you over somebody else. Right? So you want to learn all these things, and the more customers you talk to, the more patterns you find.
Right.
And it's the best type of audit, because The bad stuff is where you learn things. The good stuff at some point you don't really want to listen to it. It's like, thanks.
So all feedback is basically good feedback. No feedback is the worst, right?
Yes.
But what about feedback that's asking you to have some special chair feature, for example, where you press and maybe it gets teleported to somewhere, for example? I'm sure you get those kind of requests sometimes, right? And you mentioned feedback's important. You want to know what to build to be the best in class. But when, as a founder, do you decide, okay, while this customer is saying this feedback, we cannot do this. It goes away from the direction, for example.
Right. No, I think what you want to know is what are the problems that they are facing? What are they trying to solve with the feature that they say?
Right.
Right? So like they can say that, I want like the very famous Ford fella, right? He said, if I ask people, they say they want faster horses.
Yeah.
But no, they want to get from point A to point B faster. Right? So then he developed the car. So you want to be able to figure out what are the problems that they face that
points.
they felt uncomfortable with it.
Right.
Then you work on, and to solve one problem, you have 1,000 different solutions. Right. So you want to be able to figure out those solutions.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's now move to the exit. Right. So I think the exit of Ergotune is an exit that many DTC founders look up to. Many Singaporeans look up to, many residents here also, even for myself. Like looking at the story of the three of you exiting, it's a phenomenal job. Honestly, congrats on that. I know it's been a while, but still very inspirational. And you've been very honest publicly about this. People think you exit, money lands in your bank. You always talk about it. Money must land in your bank first.
Money land in your bank is real, bro.
Yeah, must land in your bank. It's not just there. Money must land in your bank. And many people will feel or will think that once it's landing in the bank, like, it will be like, but you mentioned it's not. And if anything, you all mentioned that you all felt lost. I believe you all went to McDonald's to eat a burger or to celebrate, right? And you said a lot of things about feeling lost after you sold a business that's supposed to be so successful, and most people will die for this opportunity or this situation. Could you unpack a bit about that? Like, why do you feel lost? Like, what do you feel that you felt you're not supposed to feel even before the exit?
Right. I think when we were building the business, we didn't know what is work-life balance.
Okay.
My whole identity is tied around being an e-com founder, leading people, solving problems, and every day is exciting to me because like, there's a new problem to be solved.
Okay.
My employee facing problems, like the hero that comes in and like, you go home at 2 a.m. last night. No, today we make sure we fix your workflow so you go home at 6, right? You feel strong.
Yeah.
And just one day like this and like everything is gone. You got no more meetings, nobody's depending on you anymore. Are you that dispensable? Like you built this company from scratch. Like everybody just moved on without you. Right? Because you no longer own it. You no longer have any say in it. And you're just trying to find like, okay, then what's my purpose here? Like what's my purpose on this earth if it is not, I thought it's all about building and selling a company and getting some money and then like live a comfortable life. But you are still trying to find things to grab on. Trying to find the new things that you can say that, I have a purpose in life. And I think back then when you're building, you don't think about purpose. You just think like, today do what, tomorrow do what, and then you have hopes and dreams. Like once that is being taken away from you, you're like, like you're naked. You just need to find like what is that new purpose for you.
But was that immediate or you guys celebrated for at least one night?
No.
It was immediate? Or it came after a while?
It creeps on you. It creeps on you. I think when the money lands in the bank, the first thing you'll visit is Property Guru. 1000%. You'll go there and then you start filtering and then you'll see.
Cash.
Yeah. You're gonna see like what houses you can buy.
Right.
And then after that, like the next day you'll feel it already. That things feels a little bit different. Right? You no longer are in control. But you still eat the same thing, right? Like people think like, rich people they just suddenly red wine and steak every day. No, bro, you still eat the freaking chicken rice that is downstairs that you always order. It's still gonna be the same thing. Maybe now you add meat, right? Without blinking, Maybe now your cai fan you add fish, right? Like, but your life is pretty much the same, lah. Then what changed? Like something is being taken away from you. And don't get me wrong, like money solves a lot of money problems, right? But if you didn't have things that you sacrifice along the way, there are some things that are not reversible.
Right.
You're building a startup, you spend 16 hours building it. What do you sacrifice? There are some things you do. time with your kids, time with your wife, time with your family, time with your friends. How many of those friends will still be friends
Right.
after you exit? Just because your timing wasn't right back then, like now when your timing is right, they suddenly come back. No, right? Like some things will just be lost, and you're just left with the aftermath. Some is good, some is bad, and I think this is life.
That's so wrong. Thank you so much for sharing, really.
Yeah.
And if I was to just touch a bit on about the fact of what you mentioned before, which is that what made Ergotune successful, you mentioned was two key things. One is co-founder accountability, because it's not just you, right? You have two other co-founders, and also the focus. Knowing what's your biggest constraint, then let everything burn. Just don't care about everything else, right? What did accountability look like? Not on a good week, but on a bad week. I'm sure there's many bad weeks that you faced, right?
Many.
So if you were to take us to that mindset of you having a bad week, you and your two co-founders, when you talk about accountability, how does that look like?
So maybe one example was there was a period, probably about 2 to 3 weeks, where I was obsessed over ClassPass. I remember this very clearly. I was trying to optimize for all the classes to go. Well, back then it was like unlimited. And then like you can go as many as you want, right? So I was coming in late, leaving early, and during our weekly meetings, like it's very easy to smoke your way through. Because you're all founders, right? And one day, like my co-founder just came to me and like, bro, you're not pulling your weight.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Straight in my face.
Wow.
And I know.
Okay.
I know that he is right. I didn't even bother arguing. I was like, you're right. Thanks, bro. I think back then, it did two things for me. One, it's I learned that it is okay to be confrontational.
Okay.
Right. And that is hard for founders. Right.
Okay.
Because you don't want to be in a position where, hey, you don't trust me. I'm your founder. Right. Like you want to be able to maintain that relationship. But I think that courage to go up to your co-founder and say that, hey, you're not pulling your weight. Everybody is depending on you. Is it gives you the permission to do the same. Right. It gives you the permission to say that, hey, you can actually say these things and like people can understand. And
do you use the same philosophy mindset with employees? Meaning to say, let's say, because employee and founders are different, right? Founders maybe you have to really do more than what you should be doing.
Yeah.
But employees, sometimes it's, this is my job, right? But sometimes you want more from them. So is the expectation still the same, and you apply the same philosophy to them?
No.
Okay.
No. Your founders have incentives must align, bro.
Okay.
Right? Your founders, you have the highest incentives to make this work. If you are not there to make this work, who do you think will build for you?
Right.
Like you're not pushing the boat. Why would people choose to build for you? I think employees value, at least my team values very different things.
Right.
They value the team camaraderie, the karaoke after work, the culture, the having that trust in people, to be like, hey, this afternoon, like my company has unlimited leave for everybody.
Okay.
Right? People think it's, wow, you give unlimited leave, that's crazy. Bro, 98% of my employees, I need to force them to take leave because MOM got regulation, like you need to take a minimum number of leaves.
Yeah.
But why is that? Because you treat them like adults, right? Like if you need to stay at home because you have a TV that is being delivered, do you take a half day leave? It's damn lame. Just work from home. Like why
You trust your employees.
Yeah. Why force that, right? And the trust until it's broken.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to the accountability, but just a very quick one. I think it's a very good point, right? Because incentives have to be aligned. You've always said that. When you talk about employees, they are looking at it differently from the lens of founders. So I completely agree. But I guess from showing that accountability, hopefully that pushes people and aligns people towards moving towards your direction. You can't force them, but hopefully inspire them. So I guess that has worked to your benefit, to be honest.
I think you need to be a little bit clearer on the expectations that you have on them. Like if you want to be...
So do you expect them to work 100% or 110%?
If you own shares in the company, I expect you to work like 200-300%. Right? Like if I'm going to give you ESOPs...
But it depends how much shares as well, right? Or as long as you have some shares, 200.
Yeah. If not, I'll give you more salary. Then you better match up to what is that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You cannot have your cake and eat it. Right?
True.
Yeah. So if you wanna be, rewarded at the end. I will give you the opportunity to be rewarded at the end, but you need to be able to show me that you are willing to go the extra distance lah. Yeah. And it's the small things that matters.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now that we have understood more about Ergotune, your journey, your perspectives on building, your leadership style, I wanted to understand what happens next, right? The bigger picture now. I understand that you invest in DTC businesses in this region. AI, you're a big proponent of that. We read a lot about that on your LinkedIn, right? AI is not being sold as the answer for a lot of things. In the DTC space, one of the key things is customer experiences, right? You built Ergotune very human, very manual in terms of the way that you're conversing with people because you wanted a personal touch, you wanted a manual call. This is something real for you. Now, with AI and what you know about AI, what do you think AI can actually solve when it comes to automation, and how can it be applied for DTC companies or B2C companies?
I think mainly three things. The first one is each company should have their own version of a second brain.
Okay.
Where all data goes in and anybody can query this second brain. What does this second brain include? Your customers' conversations, your supplier records, your sales, your everything. All company that goes in. Because what's AI good at now? It's to be able to read large amount of data and be able to sieve through to give you insights, right? Companies that are not doing that, in the past, what you do, you go into your customer inbox and then you one by one read, right? You try to find keywords and then you say how many times this keyword appear, right? You try and combine your different sales channel together. Oh, what's my total sales? Somebody's manually pressing the calculator, right? So building a second brain is probably the first thing. The second thing, it's the way that we think about hiring should be different.
Okay.
I think in the past we were quite lazy. Most business owners, we hire for editor. We hire for media buyer. What they do, not too sure. Not too sure. Now, I think when you want to hire somebody, the first thing you should think about is workflow.
Workflow.
This person, what are the 5 to 6 workflows that they must do? What can AI do? Right? Because you want to be able to show the step-by-step. So I think it's the right way to hire, the better way to hire, because you actually have clear workflows on what you want that hire to do. And then if you still want to hire in, it's great. It's clear, ma. But if you are able to get AI to do it, then you have what we call your AI-first type of company.
That's so cool. So you basically look at AI, humans working collaboratively together, end to end, seeing how AI can help, see where humans should be coming in. Think about it as a workflow, basically optimization.
Yes. And the last thing is, previously things that are unscalable, where the effort to reward ratio is not there. Now with AI, it can become worth it. So for example, in the past, if I want to talk about, let's say, what is the best material for chairs? Maybe the search volume is like 10 a month. Not worth to do, right? Well, who cares about should chair be stainless steel or aluminium, right? Not worth to write. I mean, the search volume like 10, not worth. But if you right now are able to generate 3,000 pages, web pages based on search volume of things that people typically don't even build on, now you have 30,000 web traffic that can come into your site, right? You are hacking the whole SEO thing at scale. So things that previously were not worth doing, now suddenly it is. And the people that are gonna ride on this trend early is gonna game that lah. Right? So you think about your business, right? What are the things that people are searching for that you can definitely insert yourself in? What are the long tail keywords that previously it's just not worth writing an article for every single one of them? Now you have free traffic if you are able to drive those traffic there, because nobody else is going to write it.
That's cool, man. Honestly. Wonderful conversation. Really, really cool. I love it. I love your AI nativeness, your AI first strategy. I really think it is. I'm very very, very excited to see the next generation of DTC companies, maybe some created by you or invested by you, into this day and age. It was such an insightful conversation. Now, to wrap things up, I would love to do a very fun one. This is very quick, lightning round, I call it.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Don't overthink it. Just answer them in 1 or 2 short sentences. Okay, ready for it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, first one. Worst advice you got from someone who has never built anything before?
Product is everything.
All right. Second one. What is the most overrated thing founders in Southeast Asia obsess over?
Website design.
Website design. All right. Last one. If you had to ship something in 7 days, okay, and I only give you $1,000 US, I give you $1,000 US, okay? What would you test?
In e-com or like anything?
Let's put it at e-com.
In e-com.
What will you test with $1,000?
Supplements.
Supplements. Meaning? Like not the supplements you take.
Yeah.
Supplements you take.
Yeah. In e-com.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'll find a niche enough group that nobody is serving. Maybe menopause.
Whoa. Man, you really think different. That was so good, man. I never in a million years would think of that.
Yeah.
All right, so we've come to the end, Joshua. Thank you so much. And as we first started, I wanted 3 nuggets, but you gave me 4. This says a lot about you, man. You're so different. Thank you so much for being on our pod today, the first ever that we have in SleekTalks. For anyone listening, if you're in the middle of building something, you gotta listen to this. You gotta listen to this man, a man who built something out of nothing. So much stories, so much gold that you can get from this session today. You know, Joshua, this is what SleekTalks is all about. Real builders, real stories, no highlight reel. Thank you so much for being our first guest. This was a very good one.
Hey, thank you. I look forward to your 10th episode.